Welcome to the Pre-Application Review 2016-184 Lennar Condo Project in the Town Center. Since it's just a workshop, we get started kind of informally here. So do we have any report from staff on this? Any background on this? Because it's a pretty thin packet this week on this workshop.
Yes, Chairman. Lisa Gordon, our planning manager, has the presentation on staff's behalf, and then I believe the applicant probably has a few things he'd like to say as well.
Excellent.
Good evening, Planning Commission. I'm presenting the workshop tonight on the condos at the Town Center. The Town Center specific plan is located south of where we are today, south of Newport Road and north of Holland, east of Hahn, and you can see there that on the screen you have the specific plan boundary in blue, and Lennar would like to propose condos in the area highlighted in black. This pre-application review proposes the preliminary review of a proposal for 218 condos in the Town Center specific plan. The project would have 25 six-plex buildings and 17 four-plex buildings. That means in 25 of the buildings there would be 6 units, and in 17 of the buildings there would be 4 units in each building. The total parking would include 436 garage spaces and 109 open spaces for a total of 545 parking spaces, 2.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit. Each building type would have 3 elevation styles. This is a very conceptual site plan. You can see the layout of the fourplexes versus the sixplexes. There's a large open space area along Town Center Drive, which was formerly known as Sherman Road. Some of that area will be used for a water quality basin, some for a tot lot, turf area, pavilion barbecue, and passive landscaped area. These are the elevations. This is actually one of the 5-plex buildings, but it's going to be pretty similar. Here's another one of the elevation types. This is the 3rd elevation type. This is one of the smaller buildings. This is a 3-plex, so it's a little bit smaller than the 4-plex that will be proposed in the development. Here's another, this is a 4-plex. And this is another elevation style. This is the project actually constructed. The builder has constructed this project in Murrieta, off of Murrieta Hot Springs Road. So this is an example of what it looks like. You can see the streetscape and how the units are taking access off of the interior streets of the development. We have a picture of the garages and how that looks. This project might not be exactly the same. We might have greater setbacks or smaller between the units. It'll just depend on the requirements and the design and layout of the project. And then the other picture is the interior. Some of the units take access from pathways that run through the site. This is another picture to give you an idea of the streetscape. The city hasn't processed a lot of projects like this, so we did get a few examples from other jurisdictions to give you some talking points. This is a project, it's a lot more dense than what Lennar is proposing, but it's in Foothill Ranch. And then up in the top corner you can see that these buildings aren't, they're more of a U as opposed to what Lennar is proposing, which are, you know, they won't have the connection. This is another project in Foothill Ranch. You can see more on the left, there's our I think 6 or 8 packs. They have the access from the units to the street. That's becoming more common. This is a look at the same product as the previous picture, but the garages. And these pictures are just to give you some talking points so you can get examples of what's going on in other jurisdictions, so you can see what you like, what you don't like. This is in Portola and Irvine. It's just the buildings have a little bit more articulation, and the street, you can see the streetscapes, decorative lighting. This is that same project, but this is what their garages look like. Here's another example. And if you want me to go back to these later, we can. We're just going through them pretty quickly so the applicant can get through to their presentation. As I mentioned before, the city hasn't reviewed condominium projects. This project site is within the town center specific plan, so the density of what Lennar is proposing is within the range that's allowed. The specific plan envisioned density. It was meant to be the town center or downtown where we concentrated dense housing. There's no recreation center proposed in Lennar's project. The master developer is going to propose a larger rec center next to the park site. But as I showed you in the previous slides, there will be a tot lot, open turf areas, and barbecues. Generally, the applicant is looking for feedback on the overall impression on the architecture, thoughts on the private open space proposed, comments, or concerns regarding the attached product and density, and if there's any desired connection points to the community. Oops. This concludes staff presentation.
Before we hear from the applicant, I had one technical question regarding the zoning. The report indicates that the general plan land use designation is specific town plan, which is mixed use and residential. Where is the EDC property in relation to this lot?
So there's none of the property within the specific plan is designated economic development corridor.
Well, it says on my plan that it says to the south is economic development.
Yeah.
So where is that?
Right here, where my arrow is. So directly south of where Lennar is going to propose the condos, and west of the Santa Rosa Academy. So all in this area. Right now, that entire area is rural, sort of 1 acre lots. But it was an area that, when we were doing the general plan, was envisioned for redevelopment because it is in an area where there's more urban development.
And this is not part of the EDC because the SP was approved prior to the EDC being approved, correct?
Correct. Where there are existing specific plans, the city designated the property's general plan land use designation as specific plan to honor those existing entitlements.
Okay.
So you don't have a problem with the number of units, the density?
No.
Okay.
We haven't done a full review of the site plans, so we would have to review those and make sure that we have adequate parking, private open space, common open space, that there would be a good street scene. Those are all things that we would look at when the formal project comes in. And right now, they're just trying to get some feedback from you on just your overall thoughts, because, you know, it's hard when developers come in for due diligence meetings and we haven't had this type of product. We don't know what you want.
Now, this exhibit is from the specific plan, correct?
Correct.
Because the site plan is very similar, so it's safe to say it's very well in compliance with the SP.
Yeah, the density, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's hear from the applicant. Hopefully the presentation from the applicant will eliminate a lot of our questions.
I would hope so, but I don't know how in-depth my presentation is tonight. First off, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with me. This is a bit out of the norm for us, I'll be honest. Usually we're not going to a preliminary planning commission. Just so you kind of know where we're at in the process is we are currently under negotiation or under contract with Region to acquire the property.
Sir, do you mind stating your name, please?
Oh, sorry, Jeff Clemens with Lennar.
Thank you.
Well, I should know that by now. Anyway, sorry. back to what I was saying. So we're under contract right now with Region to acquire the property. During our initial look at the town center, we became excited because we thought it had the opportunity to be something a little bit more dense than Menifee has seen in the past, allowing for a townhome community. And you were right in noticing that it was very similar in design. We happen to have product that fit very close to what the cluster product was. And while we looked at the cluster, we thought a better fit for that specific location in the town center was the townhome concept. So really what we're looking for today is, since Menifee hasn't done too many condominiums and we have not done an attached product within Menifee, is the Planning Commission's feedback, any specific concerns as we're going forward, any specific kind of places to take it just in case we're in the wrong space, or if there's a flat out, you know what, there's no way this is ever getting approved, we'd like to hear that too. So kind of what your guys' feedback was on it. So I don't, not a whole lot of enlightenment on my side of the presentation. Really looking for feedback and an informal process in which we could understand prior to us trying to figure out if this is the right decision for us to go forward with.
Are you looking to acquire any of the other adjacent properties?
We are. We are looking also, if you look down at the lower portion, I'll call it green aqua. It's east, right there, yes, which is a cluster product.
But not the one in between the two?
I'll let Frank speak, but that's not us. We're not looking to acquire that piece.
Purple is apartments.
And just kind of thinking ahead, if you were to acquire both, would you be seeking to put this same condo product in both?
No, that was kind of one of the thought processes as well. That was a cluster product down to the south, or excuse me, to the east. Down always wants to be south to me. And then to the west, we were thinking for differentiation purposes, this attached product with a little bit more density, right close to the center and the civic center as well. So it'd be two different product lines.
All right. Questions for the applicant from the commission?
Is there any specific issues with attached product in the city as the Planning Commission feels it?
Let me tell you this. The first thing that jumped out at me when I looked at the elevations was that it seems very flat.
Okay.
One of the things that we have consistently done in this central part of the city, and I'm thinking specifically of these buildings right here, right by City Hall, is a little bit more design with this kind of density. And if you look at the apartments we've approved over by Mount San Jacinto and over by closer to Heritage Lakes, the large products, the cluster products, the apartments, which are similar in genre to this, we want a little bit more of a single home design feel to it, where this is very flat. When I looked at the product that you showed us from Murrieta, was that one that you submitted, or was that one that the city acquired?
No, that's us.
Okay. So, yeah, Aurora Vista. That to me looks like it should be out in Lancaster or Palmdale somewhere. It is very flat. And I'm not saying it's a bad product. I'm saying for what we're looking for here, that kind of overall consistency is something that flies contrary to what we've been asking of people.
Okay.
I do say that one of the questions, the issue was the spacing. In light of the compliance with the density, I like the spacing.
Okay.
The spacing seems kind of adequate and appropriate. I do like that. And I do think you might want to consider on the north end of this project another kind of small recreation space, because you've got the tot lot at the south end. You've got this barbecue pavilion in the middle, and then passive landscape areas. I don't know if you've got a lot of green space, which is excellent. Mm-hmm. Half basketball court, another tot lot, something like that over there, because that's going to be a long way from the proposed recreation project that's talking about. And the last thing that I'm going to mention, and I'll turn it over for comments, this proposed city hall across the street from these condos. I don't know if you've done any. It just seems odd to have a condo, a purchased home property, directly across the street from a courthouse. That would seem kind of an odd location for that.
I think the specific plan has that in the land use, no matter whether it's a cluster or a townhome, that is the zoning across the street, correct?
Well, no, I guess what I'm talking about is if you're going to build in green space to that cluster product, maybe a buffer between the
Okay.
residential
Okay.
and that courthouse, because that's going to be an odd place for people to look out their window and see.
Yeah, right across from the house, where that red is on 1B. Put something in there like a picnic area.
Well, that's not their product.
Oh, that's not theirs?
This is the one they're talking about here.
Oh,
That's
right
the
here.
courthouse. I'm talking about like
Okay.
these units here on the far northern end of
Okay,
it.
right there.
Yeah, if you, I don't know, maybe huge trees there or something like that. But I would look for a feature that somehow obscures the city hall from that residential zone. Because it's not like being across the street from the mall or something, you know,
Yeah.
being across the street from a courthouse, people might have a problem with that. It's going to be an odd jump from one construction to another, but who knows if that courthouse is ever going to get built, so. I'll turn it over.
Do you mind going a little more into the architecture part? Because
You can take it over.
Well, no.
I touched on some things. I mean, I'm not an architect, and I want to stay away from saying, here's what you need to do. You need to put stone face here or there. I'm not into that. I'm just giving you, you've got professionals who are professional designers.
And that was great feedback. That's kind of what we're looking for from here, because it helps us kind of direct. We're not going to plop Arroyo and just put it here. That was not the intent, but that was where we wanted to start somewhere with regards to an iteration and a dialogue with the city that says, okay, we're going to bring something in here. We would like to make it as smooth as possible. And so getting that feedback in advance is really helpful.
I guess my point was, this is our first foray into the condo area. I'd really like to have it really does exist between apartments and standalone homes, standalone homes. So it should look more like the standalone homes because it's going to be a purchased product, and that's kind of where our city is going towards. So anything that looks more like standalone homes is going to be more acceptable in a cluster like that, is kind of where I'm going with it. How you accomplish that? I don't know. There's people with degrees in that.
Thank you.
Hey, Lisa, do you mind going back to the Marietta product? Because what I liked was the pop-ins, pop-outs, the different colors of the two buildings. You know, the roof line, the trim line, there's the underhang, so it's got a little bit of architecture. I mean, I could see where you could throw a little bit more, but
Well, that Irvine one,
the Irvine one was nice, the Portola.
I know that's not yours.
Yeah.
But by way of example, can you
I
go
live
over
out
to
here,
that
but,
Portola one?
Where you put the one right, Foothill Ranch. Now, go back to Foothill Ranch.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I have that written down. Not impressed.
So what I'm talking about here, you see in this Portola one, we've got these features of like the archways,
Yeah.
and things like that, which really create and like the framing of the windows and the shutters, something that really looks more residential than
Gotcha.
institutional.
Okay, I understand the comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're not talking about like you have to line the streets with gold or anything. It's just.
I just, like I said, the Foothill Ranch was not impressive. But I like the pop-ins, pop-outs, the different colors.
Should have
kind
brought
of
that
stuff.
first to set the bar.
Yeah. So and that's why I was asking to alliterate a little
Yeah, no.
bit more.
They want to hear exactly what you're thinking. Like I said, I try to stay away from getting too detailed on specific design elements that I would require because that's not something that I think is our authority. Designing from the dais, I think, is something that we were accused of last year, as we've gone away from that.
90% of my questions have been answered. I'd like to thank Lisa for those updated photographs because I visited Lennar Homes down in San Diego, in Chula Vista, and I was really repulsed by that. The one that's overlooking Otay Lakes.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Different division,
Yeah,
so
it-
much different.
Yeah, it's called the Sienna at Lake Point.
Okay.
And I was,
Long field trip, man.
well, I had business down there anyway, so I decided I'd just pop over and see. But this was a very refreshing view of what I had seen down there. My real concern was the width of the streets, and I'm thinking about emergency services. You're packing a lot of people in that area, and I'm just wondering, can we get fire trucks, paramedics?
I will say
in
this,
there.
the civil engineer is going to guarantee, no matter what, that the fire department will be with the meeting on that. Our fire
Okay.
codes will be met for sure, because that's just par for the course. You can't, we wouldn't want to get around it, and you can't get around it, so.
Right.
So that's going to be part of it. I do know that they were initially designed with that in mind, when.
You know,
otherwise-
26 feet is kind of narrow, and I was just wondering, if you've got 2 cars,
Yeah, and we met with fire, about 2 weeks ago, we met with the fire department.
okay, and their verdict was they're okay with the,
They're okay with the width, there was a little bit of challenges with the radials coming through the terms.
Uh-huh.
You can adjust those without having the impact of the land plan. So
Okay.
they were fine with that.
okay, let's see. That was it. Thanks to the new photographs, I don't have a problem with it at all.
And one of our concepts was the living towards the open space, living towards the outside, because that's where your front door is. Thought that kind of lived well for the town center feel, so for us.
Just from a design standpoint, like I said, we're looking for variety in our products, the new things that are being built. This is an opportunity to be a real marquee residential area right in the middle of town center. So I don't have any problem with the density of it.
Great.
And I don't have any problem with the concept of condos. Frankly, I'd rather have condos than apartments. I'd like to see more of that.
I really like the space there.
Yeah, the space, for what you've done with the space is nice. The size of the parcel, I don't have a problem with the uniformity of it. A lot of times we get, when somebody puts a big horseshoe or it's like a big grid, I don't have a problem with that because it's kind of a small parcel to work with. You know, just from a gut standpoint, the parking on the street, there's going to be a ton of cars out there. Every parking space is going to be full on the street all along the place. That bothers me a little bit. I don't know what you can do about that. When I looked at the plan, actually, initially, the photos that I had and stuff, I didn't see any garages. I was concerned that it was all on-street parking.
No, all attached 2-car garage.
And I know there's standards for parking spaces, and it looks like you guys are in compliance with the amount of parking spaces, but it's just having those streets just lined with cars
Point taken.
is something visually, in the evening, if you were to come home and there's just parking spaces full of cars all along the street, kind of looks like tract homes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can mask or disguise or move the parking to an interior instead of out on the
Again,
street out
The
front.
one thing with the open space that is flexible, the hard part there is you sometimes trade green for parking, right? And so there's a balance there.
I don't know if there's a way to move the buildings a little further apart and put the parking behind or something to get it off the frontage.
We can look, we'll look at that
Because
design.
if you take that the parking that you've got there and put it behind the building, and you move the building out, then you could hide all those cars and still have on-street parking. I don't know, because you've got the garages back there, I know that would block access and stuff.
Yeah.
But those are just kinds of things that, if you were to come up to me with this product with a little bit more design flair and that parking either altogether in one, behind it or hidden in some way, so it minimizes the on-street, I'd be in favor of this today.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look at the parking, because within the space, all of a sudden you're going to start losing. But I hear the comment, and I understand it.
I
Yeah,
had one
I'll-
other comment. Go
I'll
ahead.
take the open space over the parking. But it looks good. It looks. I like the points of connection. I like the way the open space fits with the density. And I just want to ask, when do you think you'll have the rec center? Being you don't have control of the rec center, right?
I happen to have somebody from Regent right here in the
Oh, okay.
audience, so
We plan to have the rec center open at the end of next year.
So how many units would you have built?
Then submit a plot plan for the rec center. We have to do a major plot plan, that's part of the city requirements. Then design,
Okay.
all goes well, we'll start construction sometime this part.
which for us, right now, because we have to go through the full tentative process and get through, we are assuming we grand open in the first month of 2018 is right now,
Oh,
full
okay.
year. Now, we may be able to beat that, but that's kind of where our thought process is here, because we do realize it's a new product, new kind of product within the city of Menifee. It's not just I'm coming in with my 5,000 or 6,000 square foot home site, and here's my homes I've done before, so. we've
So
allowed
what
a
if
little time to
planning,
plan.
what if planning puts a condition on their no building permits till till after the 100 permits, till the park's built.
That is, per the SPA, that's not a requirement. The
Wouldn't
rec
be.
center was added, it's not a required even for in the specific plan, but we've added it for an amenity in which we felt.
You'll get a
I
lot
was
of
going to
pressure
say,
on it.
for us, it was, the conditions as per the SP were what we've been reliant upon,
Yeah.
and which it was not a timing condition. But again, Regions come and said, and we've kind of been working through contractually when they're getting it. Our whole intent was kind of at the same time it comes online, but
Yeah, you'll get a lot of pressure from the residents to have it, so.
So you know, sir, our plan is that the rec center, everybody, we have a total of 5 planning areas that will use the rec center for our planning. That will use the rec center. They all will come on about the same time, or start about the same time, so that's why the rec center, timing-wise, will come on about that same
Yeah.
time.
it's the item number 8 in that detail is the rec center.
Correct. And it's across the park, and the park will be open sometime in, I would say this summer, it's coming summer, next year.
Is there going to be a
Thank you.
daycare center built into that? I'm just reading that off the map. That's why I asked.
At one time, we did have thoughts of putting a daycare center in.
With that Arroyo Vista, I know I keep going back to the flatness of the design, and as I look at it more, I just wonder if my problem is with the fence.
I think you're probably, we've since gone away from that fence, or will go away from the fence, for a little bit more privacy and create the more, I'll call it intimate space or your patio area a little bit better, but not full height, but high enough to give it some feel out there, and put a little bit more extra in the fencing wall detail. Don't call it a fence, because it's going to be a wall, that little pony wall where you can make some nice stuff for it, but, because that becomes the living space, the porch.
Can you go back to the slide where you had the 2 complexes? Yeah, where the garages are. What type of cars are you going to put in there?
I don't think they come with cars, Earl.
I'm just, yeah, okay. No,
Whatever they own, I guess?
Yeah,
Anybody?
the reason I ask is because,
You're not fitting an F-350 in there, no.
yeah, I can see I won't get that in there.
I-
But I was just wondering, is there enough space for people to back out and to go in without tearing out the walls?
It's lived that way down in Arroyo Vista. To date, we're closed 8 phases, but traditionally, it's going to be a 24-foot clear to back out, 24. And then the garage themselves are a little over 20 to park, your standard garage space. It's your traditional garage space. So the Suburbans of the world, I think, are a tight fit inside those. To your point, the tall F-150s, they traditionally aren't. Also, the people that live in townhomes aren't buying $80,000 cars or $70,000 cars, but they could. So I don't know what kind of cars they'll have, but we just go with the traditional design standard for these.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding the parking,
Yes?
Lisa, if you can go back to their concept site plan. You know, because I was looking at it, and what I kind of like about the way the parking is, the parking's in the middle. So as I'm if I'm a non-resident driving around the neighborhood, I see the houses, I don't see cars. And I think I'd rather have that.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Because as I'm driving, I'm looking at the back of the buildings, sides of the buildings that have architecture versus cars.
And we may end up taking, if you look, north is that way, to the, I'll call it on the left side where you see the little green space. The farthest left on the top is to put some spaces in there, possibly add some spaces. We'll work through on putting some additional spaces throughout the community that are probably pull-in, straight-in parking. That offset, we still get all our tot lots, and I can't really point there, but I didn't bring my laser pointer. But we'll see what we can do to help add some components to additional parking.
Well, and looking at it too, the right side, there's only 4 houses that face the courthouse, which is like
Correct.
that. But compared to the specific plan exhibit, shows like 10.
Yeah.
So this site plan, I think, is a little bit better than
Right.
what the SP had, so. And I really like how the turf area is on Town Center Drive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the main road through the downtown district, so it gives a nice spacious feel. I like that.
I'll tell you, we're excited. I've now taken our regional president and a bunch of the people there, and they're like they get excited about what Menifee Town Center is becoming and has become. The level of energy there is fantastic. You drive into it any time of day, right, and there is just people and the energy and the new school across the way. We're hoping that we could get special treatment, but we can't. So, but
First priority to get in.
that's right. But couldn't do that. But again, we're excited about the location, and we again, so that's why we're.
Is there any plan in this for pedestrian access, like a walkway around it, or that connects up with town center?
Yes, so that entire space on the lower side, which would be the east side, would have trails, tot lots, parks. We would be fully programmed. It's a private HOA space. It'll be maintained by these residents, but it will be having trails throughout. Because the intent there is to get as many people as easily as possible from the upper left-hand side into town center.
Right, a lot of people are going to want to walk from there to the facilities at.
Correct. Walk to the rec center, walk to the new theater down the way. There's just a lot of things that you can all of a sudden become part of a localized community that really, in the Inland Empire, you don't have many opportunities to walk to places, right? You just don't. So that we think is a great sales component to this.
Did you hit your button?
I did.
All
Thank
right.
you. Just some additional items, if you wanted to give any input about, or had any thoughts about landscaping, other type of amenities, lighting, or anything else that may come to your minds.
Does the SP have a specific lighting ordinance or architecture for lighting, or?
There's a section on lighting. It should be decorative.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it's not the concrete poles. Something.
We have a picture of,
You know, I think kind of the Irvine one had a nice landscaping. You know, just keep in mind that this kind of is the crown jewel of the city, going right through the heart of the main downtown street, so.
I think if you looked at Arroyo, they had certain bollards like there. That's,
The Portola had the little bollard.
yeah, so we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, you know, the concept of doing like that hardscape out in the front, I like the grass better, but I don't know how much that costs.
Well, has the EMWD lifted
We'd love to
sanctions?
put grass. Trust us, grass looks way better. They haven't lifted their sanctions yet on drought tolerance, and I don't see that happening anytime, even if we were to get an El Nino and it rained for a long, long time. It
I
just,
think we may be limited on what we're allowed to,
correct.
allowed to landscape in that.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, that looks, I would frankly rather have decorative rock all through there, just flat, without those little pieces of scrub brush.
And this is early on. The hard part about
Phoenix model, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a struggle. I'll say we have a struggle internally on it as well, because the spacing is certain requirements and the sizing, and even when you get the upsize on those plants, they don't fill out immediately. It takes them a while. I agree with you. I would go back to grass, because grass feels better. Hopefully in the next year they'll let us go back.
If you really want to get annoyed, go through Heritage Lake and look at the single-family houses that have no grass in the front yard. It's so ugly. So glad my house was built before the ordinance
I
was.
think if commission would want to take a look at, we're currently building a community on the other side of the freeway. It's known as Menifee. And that doesn't have a lot, around the perimeter of it, does not have a lot of grass at all in that area. The previous community that went in back in the late, or about 2008, has some grass. So it really came down to a little bit lower type of planting in that. And that's been in now for about 2 years. And this has only been in now for probably about 6 to 8 months.
At most.
You'll see maturity taking place within the trailhead and the Menifee Road corridor. It's really kind of filling
But
in.
we'll figure out, I agree with you, we got to figure out something within a design parameter that allows. Luckily, us on those open spaces, we can do the nicer open spaces in the parks, because they're parks and they're passive uses, so there's not as many restrictions drought tolerance-wise on those. And so it will be slightly different, I think, because this was a specific requirement that we had to do here.
And then with availability with EMWD moving forward with the reclaim coming through the freeway, open up a little bit more time, a little bit more green, using reclaimed water within those areas too. So.
Any other comments specifically? Questions?
I have one comment. I like the way this design is, because it's kind of contiguous with the school to the south. I thought that was a real neat thing. Apparently, you guys had some forethought there, because
Well, we do love the way that
it's a
school
really
looks.
good
That school looks
transition.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
we think that school is a gem to look at.
So yeah, maybe some north-south variants, some design features in there, just to be, like that one on the far left here is just a big white sheet right there. And, you know, just maybe decorative tile or just some sort of design feature to break up the, I mean, I know you've got the two-tone with the push-outs, but even there, it's just such a large, flat space. That's what we're looking at. But as far as the push-outs go, and I agree that, you know, it's nice. I think the general tone you're getting from the commission is that we'd be in favor of a product of this variety in that location of the density you're proposing. If you say, hey, they love this thing, so let's push this density up another 25, 30%, you might get some pushback from us. But the density that you're proposing is a real comfortable one, it seems like.
That's really where we're looking more. I thank you for your time on this. Again, I know it's a little premature in the whole process, but it really allows us to have a comfort level of moving forward with Regent and making sure that we can go do this, because it just is new. So, and your guys' feedback's been invaluable to us. It really has, and we'll try to take that and incorporate as much as we possibly can. I can't guarantee everything, but as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, and like we always say for workshop, it's great you guys come in early, because you can get our feedback before you go and blow a bunch of money, and we say, no, that's not what we want. And you get all pissed because you just dropped a bunch of money. So,
Come on, we really like this.
I
We
think it's
bought into
great
it.
when
Yeah,
guys
okay.
come in here, so.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Jeff, do you have something? You were looking over me? No? All right, thanks you guys for coming in. I think hopefully we've given you the information you were looking for. And we will stand in recess until 7 o'clock. All right, so we got 7 o'clock, so let's call the meeting to order. If we could please take roll.
Commissioner Doty. Here. Commissioner Madrid. Here. Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Vice Chair Phillips.
Here.
And Chair Carwin.
Here. Let's stand for the flag salute. Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have any modifications to our agenda?
No, sir.
Manny, did you have a question? Any presentations this evening?
No, sir.
Any non-agenda public comments?
No, sir.
All right, which brings us to an approval of the meeting minutes from August 24, 2016. Anybody care to make a motion on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Unopposed? Minutes are approved. We have no items on our consent calendar this evening, so that brings us to our public hearing item, number 9.1, for a tentative parcel map, 2015-177. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, we do. Sorry.
Yes, Chairman. Manny Baeza, our contract planner, has the staff report for you today.
Thank you, Jeff. Chairman Carwin, members of the Planning Commission. Here is an aerial of the project site. It's in green. It's an existing, there's an existing shopping center there known as the Newport Plaza. It's on the northwest corner of Bradley Road and Newport Road. As you can see, on the west, there's a portion that's undeveloped. The zoning for the project site is EDC Newport Road. Surrounding zoning consists of R1 and EDC NR to the north, CPS to the south. To the east is EDC Newport Road, and to the west is R1 zone property. Here are the land uses for the project. Again, contains a developed shopping center. Development consists of, to the north, the Sun City Seventh-day Adventist Church. To the south is a developed Arco AM/PM Mini Mart, a McDonald's restaurant, and vacant land that's approved for a commercial development of some kind. I think it's two smaller retail buildings. To the east of the project site is vacant land, and to the west of the project site is the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church and School. Excuse me. This application proposes to subdivide the existing 5.0 gross acres into 2 parcels. Parcel 1 would have an area of 4.38 gross acres, and Parcel 2 will have an area of 0.65 gross acres. The tentative parcel map has been conditioned for reciprocal access, and also there's been a condition of approval added for the replacement of missing trees at the existing center. A little bit of background on this project. The Newport Plaza was constructed in the early 1990s. It has an area of approximately 44,000 square feet. The center has a mix of uses, including restaurants, service uses, a tire and a paint shop. This project has been determined to be categorically exempt from CEQA. There's 3 exemptions that apply to this project. Parcel maps are categorically exempt. Also, this site has a sloping of less than 15%. So there are categorical exemptions we can use for this project. Here is an image of the actual subdivision. It shows Parcel 1 with the developed shopping center, and there's also Parcel 2 on the left, the western 0.65 acres. I should point out also that there's a proposed cell site at the top of Parcel 1. That has not been approved yet, but it's near approval. It would be a minor conditional use permit. With that, staff is recommending adoption of Resolution 16-277 approving the tentative parcel map. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Baeza. At this point, we'll turn it over to questions, technical questions of staff from the commission. Does anybody have any questions of staff on the report?
I have a question. So basically, it's just the left-hand side over there, but in this map, it's showing the back part of it too. Is that, right, this is it. Okay, I apologize, looking at it wrong. That's it for the question.
Where are the trees that are part of the condition?
I actually have a couple of slides that kind of show what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's an aerial of the existing center. This is how it looks on a street view currently, and this is what it used to look like. So you can see that a number of trees were removed at the driveway.
What is that view?
This is a view looking at the site from Newport Road at the main driveway. Yeah, looking north.
Here.
So you're looking in front of you, this express?
You're looking straight in, yeah.
Oh, it looks like it's a little bit stretched or something. I'd say that's a
Yeah.
very long driveway down
Well,
there.
it was off a street view, so it, trying to.
Can you go
play-
back to the other one?
Yeah, there you go. So that's what it looks like now.
I see. And that, I just drove by there today. That sign that's on the right there, is that a rental sign, or are they looking to sell the property sign?
That's just probably for your tenants,
Okay.
open tenant space.
And I know we're going to hear, are you the applicant? Surveyor. So who's the applicant?
The applicant is the owner of Newport Plaza.
So the owner of parcel, the whole project, is the one who's applying for this subdivision?
No, I thought the applicant was actually Bruce Baker. Yeah, Bruce Baker.
Well, hang on a second. If we're going to hear from you, then, yeah, why don't you come and introduce yourself? And
Yeah, Larry Cole with Landmark Engineering in San Diego, California, and I'm the land surveyor who's prepared the tentative parcel map and will be preparing the final parcel map for the conveyance of the property.
On behalf of whom?
On behalf of the potential buyer of parcel 2, he's contracted us to divide the parcel so that it can be conveyed and purchased by him from the original shopping center who put it up for sale.
So that's the 0.65 acres?
That's right.
The .65 acres, yes.
All right, well, I think we're kind of out of order here. We're starting to get some public hearing testimony here, so let me stop you there. Why don't you go ahead and have a seat just for a second. Do we have any more questions, technical questions of staff from the Planning Commission?
I have one. That's a pretty slim parcel. What can you see going in there as far as?
We've gotten some conceptual layouts for how an office building or a retail building could go in there, and they can meet the current EDC development standards and get a fair-sized building in there with parking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it has its own parking?
It has its own parking, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. At the conclusion, since we have no more technical questions coming
I
up.
have one more
Oh,
question.
yes, please go right ahead.
So is that driveway going to be the access, that curb cut that we see that's in line with parcel 2?
Hold on, let me go back.
Is it's kind, and is it, well, we'll see. It doesn't,
Maybe if you go back 2 slides.
2 slides?
No, the other way,
The other way. Sorry.
to the aerial photograph.
Okay.
There you go.
Got it. Okay, so your question is, I'm sorry?
so see that curb cut that's
The furthest to the west?
pretty much lined up to this, with the center of the parcel? Yeah, on the left.
That's going to be the driveway. It might be changed, you know, the application hasn't been filed yet.
Because that driveway, look at it compared to the center driveway, it's kind of hard to maneuver. Or maybe not hard, but kind of not, doesn't seem like a standard driveway width.
The new development will require to meet all of our current development standards.
Okay.
Anything else of staff? Hearing nothing. Madam Clerk, do we have proper publication
Yes, sir.
and notice, I presume? And have we received any correspondence regarding this for the public hearing?
No, sir.
All right. If I didn't say so, we're going to open the public hearing. 7:10. I asked those questions within the minute, so 7:10 p.m. Now, let's hear from the applicant. We can spend a little more time with you now.
Okay, actually, I'm here to answer questions. I'm the surveyor that has actually prepared the tentative parcel map. We've been working with Manny to get to this point right here. The driveway you were speaking of on the west, just as an answer, that was one of the reasons the reciprocal access easement was one of the conditions, and it's also a condition of the sale from the owner to the buyer, is to provide an easement that lets them use it, joint access through the existing driveway. That's a condition.
So maybe you can answer Commissioner Thomas's question. What's the plan for the property?
At this point, actually, I don't know for sure. The plan is Dr. Baker, who is the applicant, made an offer to Newport Plaza when they put the sign up that it was for sale. He made an offer to them to buy it. They said that they would like to sell it to him, but by land surveying law, the parcel has to be divided into a legal parcel to be actually conveyed. So that's why we've gone through the tentative parcel map and for the division. Dr. Baker at this point has only committed the funding to be able to buy the property and make sure that he has it before he gets into the full development scheme of the property. I do believe that he's going to ultimately put an office building on it with parking.
So that little cutout in the building right behind where Sheridan Chiropractic is here, that the diagonal cutout, that missing corner, that'll stay part of parcel 1, and he's only looking to make it a straight rectangular shape for parcel 2?
Yes, and actually the commercial site has got plans that Verizon is working on a telecommunications station at that point right there, so that wasn't offered as part of the conveyance. And also, because of the irregular shape, when we work with the Menifee Engineering Department, they actually preferred that we don't even try to get it. They wanted to stay with the commercial center.
And as far as access, where does, for example, the pit stop dump its trash?
Pardon?
Where does the pit stop dump its trash? Do they go behind the building to do it somewhere? Where
You
does?
know, I
There's a
don't know
dumpster in
the
front.
I don't
There's a
know the
dumpster in the parking
operations
Oh,
lot.
the dumpsters, oh, that's right, it's over here in the front of the middle of the parking lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know the actual operations of the commercial portion that much.
Well, my concern was that there was necessary rear door access for commercial use in the back.
Oh, actually, there
Right, but
definitely
there's
is.
just a wall
because
there now.
Per the EDC, there's a 10-foot setback from the back of the building, and then we're required to hold another 10-foot setback. So there's actually a
Right.
20-foot distance from the building to anything we would develop on the property.
That's going to be his problem, not ours. You know, if he wants to buy it and see if he can put something in there, that's his prerogative, I would imagine.
He's got a drainage here that has to be respected,
Mm-hmm.
and that's an engineered drainage. And then here, if he's gonna put 20 foot, he can't even get a can in.
Do we have questions for the applicant or the applicant's representative, I should say? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do we have any public testimony on this?
No, sir.
Flying through things. All right, then we'll close the public hearing at 10:14 PM. And now we can open it up for discussion if anybody has any concerns about it. You know, I'll start. It's been my concern since I saw this thing come through that I have no idea how you could possibly build a viable building on there, but I guess that's why I'm not an architect. It would seem like if he wants to buy it and he thinks he's got something that can comply with there, we should let him allow to do it. Frankly, I'd rather have a slim building in there owned by a doctor than what's there now. So,
Soccer fields there.
you could put a fine basketball court in there as well, skate park. But as far as, you know, does it comply with the usage and all of the standards that we're required to use? I don't see a problem with separating out so they can convey that, because clearly the owner of the plaza doesn't want to build on it, so it's just going to stay vacant unless they can separate it out. I'm willing to hear anybody else's thoughts on it if they've got any major concerns.
I'm more concerned with the access, because unless that driveway is the only ingress egress, I don't see how you can get that road wide enough for two cars to get into the rest of the center. So, because I drive that a lot, so I know exactly what it looks like, and it's tight. So where you might not have,
Actually, it's a fairly large driveway and has fairly good access. I have been out there.
I mean, when
And
you
it will
turn
be-
in and then head
and
to the
I would
front.
assume that it'll be redone because the driveway won't turn in the way that it is
Right.
to go to the back area for parking. So there'll be new access put in there that'll be within the standards, I'm sure.
It'll be a straight shot in and out of parcel 2.
Yes, and that's fine. I'm just saying, is there going to be,
Yeah, I understand, kind of looking at it, I can understand your concern, but it's probably going to be an all-new configuration in that area for actual access to provide better access.
But that's a concern for when they submit the plot plan.
right. it'll
You
be-
know, if he can't do it, he can't do it, then he's stuck with a useless piece of property. But if he can,
That's what I'm saying,
come
maybe
up with a design.
they should keep that in mind, that unless they're just ingress and egress for the parcel too.
Kind of a free workshop for you. Let you know what we're looking at coming down the pike. Any other comments from the commission? Hearing none. Would anybody like to take action on this item?
Oh, before you take action, the conditions of approval, I handed out a memo, we had a memo prepared yesterday, it was provided to you on changes to 2 conditions of approval, one on for on-site maintenance, the other for revisions to the standard condition we have for CCNRs.
So these changes, are these changes or additions to the conditions
These
of
are
approval?
changes, they replace the ones in the packet.
All right, so any motion that is made to approve will necessarily include the changes that were
Acknowledge it,
submitted,
yeah.
dated September 14, 2016.
That's right.
So approval will be approval with this language, not the approval of the language that's in the book.
Correct.
Understood. Anyone care to take action on this item?
I'll make a motion to Adopt Resolution PC 16-277, approving tentative parcel map 2015-177, subject to these additional conditions of approval.
Second.
Let's take a vote.
Commissioner Doty?
Yes.
Commissioner Madrid?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Phillips?
Yes.
And Chair Carwin?
Yes. All right. Got your separation. Bring us something nice. All right. Any discussion items before us today?
I have one. It's kind of a sad thing. The wife of Wally Edgerton is in the hospital as of yesterday, maybe the day before, and it's not looking good. She may not be around much longer. So if you could keep her in your prayers and your thoughts. She's at Loma Linda Hospital, and she's kind of just done with life. So,
I don't know her very well. In fact, I don't think I've ever met her. What is her name?
Judy.
Judy Edgerton? You should probably recognize her by name if we're going to talk.
Yes.
If we're going to be respectful of her like that. Mention her by name in the minutes if we could. Acknowledge that we wish her the best of health and best of comfort. Comments from the Community Development Director.
No major updates at this point in time. Only one item to note. Coming up on the 28th of September at 9 a.m. will be the scheduled grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Town Center Marketplace.
Outstanding. That's a big deal. I missed it. Is Pieology open?
I don't believe it's open yet. No, they're getting closer.
I keep driving by, looking in the window, and all the furniture's still up on the tables. So I've been waiting for that one.
My wife wants to know when Party City's going to open.
I'll find out for us for next time for sure.
Getting tired of going down the Temecula. That'd be great.
I'm tired of her going down to Temecula for it.
Thanks.
Do we have any reports, feedback from the community on the new, like for Aldi or anything like that? Any feedback from, or we're getting any social media feedback or anything on the new facilities?
I don't have any feedback from the community besides, it's busy all the time.
It's very busy.
They're obviously
Exactly.
enjoying it, and so we're very happy about that.
All right. Any committee activity reports? We haven't had any committees meetings that I've been involved in.
Do you have a question, though? Krikorian, what's going on with that?
They are still working through their application process, their plans. They are, the city has already provided comments, or first round of comments. We're waiting for them to return their update.
And I will note that at the last meeting, I made a comment about the construction on Normandy Road. They have fixed all of those problems.
They're actually, double D construction is laying down sewer line for AMR. So they actually fixed that. They're not supposed to leave it like that. So we talked to our public works inspector, and so he's keeping an eye to make sure that they are making it smooth before the end of the day.
So I wasn't being unreasonable. My observations were correct.
No.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Good. I hate when people think that I'm just being picky. Anything else? Commissioner Phillips?
Yes, last Thursday, I attended a joint director advisory committee meeting at Eastern Municipal. And a couple of takeaways was Eastern Municipal would like for city officials, city council, or planning commissioners to attend their 2-day tours where you can go see the Bay Delta, where we get our water through the State Water Project, and the second tour is out at Parker Dam. They are very, very interesting tours, and they give you something of an insight about the water conditions, water resource conditions that affect all of us here in Southern California. And the second takeaway was they are really, really pushing groundwater banking here, where they're taking a lot of the water, not only recycling and reclaiming it, but they're actually storing the water And the latest plan that Eastern Municipal has is where they're actually banking water here, not only in Menifee, but in other areas of the Santa Ana hydrologic area. What this does, as far as we're concerned, is that it kind of ensures a sustainable water supply for the future. In case this drought fiasco continues, we'll at least have water available. They're projecting right now out to about 5 years, depending on the conditions. But for those who have not taken that tour, I strongly recommend that you do. I've been on that tour. And I think that if you really want to get enlightened about what's going on here in Southern California as far as how our water resource is being managed, those tours will really help out. They're not very technical, so don't expect to have your brain fried. They just take you up and show you what's going on, how things operate, and what Eastern Municipal and Metropolitan Water District are doing as far as getting us water in a safe and reliable way.
I have a question about that. A while back, Eastern said they were going to reevaluate their will serve letters, for new development. Did they ever change that? Did they notify the city at all that they're going to be limiting that based on the drought?
We have not received anything from Eastern Municipal that they might be limiting any of their will serve letters.
Any other items? All right, in that case, at 7:24 PM, we are adjourned.